Good morning and welcome to a brand new week here on Breakfast Central. A very special good morning to all the Man City fans around the world. It's been a very good weekend. Joe, what club do you belong to?
Well, the sky is blue.
What was Chelsea's
Yeah, I mean, Chelsea kind of like shocked everyone, especially, we do know we had a poor season, very bad season, abysmal season. But then again, it turned out that all the, in quotes, the naysayers had said we would never make it up to 10, or if possible, 7, or even 8. But guess what? Chelsea finished top above Manchester United, and they finished 6th, meaning that they have a chance to play in Europe.
Do you know what the mentality you just displayed now? That I better pass my neighbor. Chelsea finished. We did not win, but at least we finished above Man United.
I mean, if you look at the odds were against us from the start, and we ourselves do know that we didn't put up a sterling performance this season. So it's a no-no. But then again, even with the poor performance or the poor run, we still came tops at number 6. But the so-called, the seasonal club will always wait for the new season. You know, like some form of movie or something. Like, you know, we tried. Let's wait for next season. Maybe the actor wouldn't die this time. It didn't work out for them.
Are you by any chance referring to Arsenal?
Yeah, I mean, they themselves say they are the goners. They've gone. They are goners. They're going. You know.
My heart, my thoughts, and my prayers are with the Arsenal fans. All the other fans, and congratulations once again to Man City for being the champions. And you watching us are our champions. We want to say thank you for joining us day in, day out here on Breakfast Central. My name is Olive Emodi, and for the next 2 hours, I'll be here discussing some of the biggest stories around the country.
Absolutely. And I'm Joe Hansen, reporting for duty. And most importantly, it's good to start off on a very bright note on a Monday morning. We know how chaotic and very stressful Lagos can be, especially where we're broadcasting from. We do not know what your state and city is like, especially on a Monday morning, but hopefully you can have a chit chat with us. You can find our social media handles later on the screen as it pops up, and feel free to tweet at us or tweet us, and we'll look forward to also tweet back. The big stories, no doubt, live here, and today we're taking time to ensure that we dissect them from one story to the other. I think the biggest story now is the attempted coup in DR Congo. Another one. This time it's not West Africa, but of course it's Central Africa, and it's indeed generated a lot of conversations.
Absolutely, it is. The good thing is that it was nipped in the bud, it wasn't successful. There have been conversations about it being linked to some foreign nationals, and they initially did say that there was no link to the locals. But this is a conversation that we're going to explore much later on in the show. This morning we're also joined by Adebola Adeduba, who brings us breakfast headlines. Hello Adebola, welcome back from your very long break.
Indeed, Olive, good morning. It's good to be here again. Good morning, Joe. Good to see you again this Monday morning. Yes, it's been a long break for me, and I'm glad to be back here.
You look very rested, very relaxed, like you're not in Nigeria, like you're not a part of all the drama that's been happening. But whilst you were away, what would you say was the most shocking story for you whilst you were away?
Well, while I was away, for me to be the economy, there's been predictions by analysts that the MPR for Nigeria, and that's the monetary policy rate, could affect our economy negatively if it's not nipped in the bud. Now, there were indices as to 10 years ago what the MPR was, which was about 14%, 12% rather, and now we have it at about 24%. And now this would impact, they've said this would impact SMEs, cost of production, which will be eventually passed on to the consumer. And then you know what that means for the average Nigerians. We're already grappling with, a hike in prices of goods and services. The cash isn't doing very well, and then we have, electricity, challenges in terms of tariffs. So I don't know how this will pan out, but I'm hoping the government tries to nip this in the bud as soon as possible. So for me, it's got to be the economy and predictions made by analysts.
And it's very, very spot on. I think we all can see how we are all direct recipients of the challenges that Nigeria's economy is pushing to its citizens. Yes, there is a crisis worldwide. In a number of countries around the world, we complain about the inflation hitting them, but we are feeling it really badly because it feels like it's hitting us from all corners. Whilst they're taking away subsidy in electricity, they're taking away subsidy in petrol, it just feels like it's back-to-back billings, back-to-back taxation for Nigerians, and the consumers are indeed the ones that have to bear the brunt of all this.
Too much. So much to talk about, especially looking at the taxation, the reforms, and the policies, and many are indeed waiting to see it kick in. But it seems like it's not kicking in yet, and Nigerians are starting to think, is it going to be a case of let's wait for 4 years and then we go to the polls again and extend to another 4 years before we start seeing impact on these policies? Well, there are also multiple appointments. Just as you have multiple taxations, there are multiple appointments here and there. The president did also appoint another special advisor, and then there were also a few individuals, and of course respected individuals, who were called to the table to ensure that they also go ahead to proffer solutions to the economy. But then again, these conversations are what we will always bring to the fore and let our viewers know what we are indeed going through.
Hello and welcome to Breakfast Headlines here on News Central TV. I am Adebola Adeduba. The Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project has sued Nigeria's 36 governors and the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory in Abuja. They were sued for allegedly failing to account for the spending of trillions of Federation Account Allocation Committee allocations collected by the state and the FCT since 1999. And this was contained in a release on Sunday by SERAP's Deputy Director, Kolawole Oluwadare. It adds that the lawsuits follow reports that the FAAC disbursed 1.123 trillion naira to federal, state, and local governments for March 2024. The shared 1.208 trillion naira in April. It's noted that states collected 398.6 billion naira in March and 403.4 billion naira in April. A prominent chieftain of the All Progressives Congress, Osita Okechukwu, has urged President Bola Tinubu to recapitalize and nationalize Nigeria's electricity sector. Okechukwu asserts that such measures are crucial for the nation's economic growth and industrial development. And speaking during an interview, Okechukwu described the privatization of the electricity sector as disastrous, citing increased energy prices, job losses, and factory closures. The Child Rights Advocacy Network, a coalition of civil society organizations, has issued a strong condemnation of the involvement of children in criminal investigations. They called on President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to urgently direct the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission to respect children's rights and refrain from involving them in any probes related to alleged crimes. The federal government has dismissed the emerging alliance between former Vice President Atiku Abubakar and former Anambra State Governor Peter Obi. The presidency assured that President Bola Tinubu remains unperturbed by the potential coalition, emphasizing that he is not losing sleep over this development. This dismissal comes on the heels of a private meeting held last week in Abuja, where Obi and Atiku, alongside several other prominent PDP leaders, discussed potential political strategies. The Katsina state government says it is committed to ending banditry in the state. The state governor, while speaking to newsmen in Yola, the Adamawa state capital, says that the state is willing to bring an end to banditry once and for all. And South Africa's Constitutional Court will on Monday rule on whether former President Jacob Zuma can stand as a candidate in the country's May 29 general election. Zuma left office in 2018, dogged by corruption allegations, and was briefly jailed for contempt, but he has now founded a new party to challenge his successor, Cyril Ramaphosa. And now we head to Central Africa, where Congo's army says it has fought a coup early on Sunday morning and arrested the perpetrators, including several foreigners, following a shootout between armed men in military uniform and top politicians' guards that left 3 people dead in the capital, Kinshasa. And that's all on Breakfast Headlines. It's back to Olive and Joe.
Thank you so much, Adebola Adeduba. Good to see you again, like we rightly said. And I think one of the stories that's making a lot of people talk from right, left, and center has got to be the visitation of Peter Obi, the 2023 presidential candidate of the Labour Party, to the former Vice President of Nigeria, and of course the presidential candidate to the PDP, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, where they did shake hands And you do know what the narratives are, that there's going to be a merger, like it was said initially some time back, that there was going to be a merger, until we did have one person come here and say, no, there's no such. It dispelled that rumor. And here we are again. The handshake has brought a lot of conversation where people are saying, you know, if they can team up, maybe they can do away with the current.
And I think it's even more of the followers, it would seem, because last week when these pictures made their way to social media, when I was analyzing what Nigerians were saying on X, I saw some tweets. People were saying, whatever Peter Obi is cooking is something nice. I'm loving it. You know, we're excited about this. It feels like for those who don't maybe support the current administration, they see that the incumbent is maybe all too powerful. So for those who are still in, who do not support the current administration, they're seeing it as, oh, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. So let's team up together and overthrow the power that's in office. That's what a number of the tweets that, you know, I saw were alluding to. But at the end of the day, it is politics. A number of these people who are like enemies on screen with their policies and ideologies, if we're being honest, there are a number of them that behind the scenes are actually very cordial with each other. They see each other, they greet each other, they're very, you know, there's no seeming bad blood like that, right? Yes, they will criticize each other in the news and all, but it's just like with law. Prosecuting counsel, defense counsel will fight in court. After that, they'll go to a local brewery and have a, you know, a bottle of beer,
and have a bottle,
or, you know, have a glass of drink. So it's politics. Well, right? Like until we just wait until they actually come out to say there's going to be an alliance, rather
just
than
to chip in there, like you rightly mentioned, Olive, it's all about politics, and we know how politics is played. You know, it's not unusual to see one person defecting to the other party, like Joe rightly mentioned, forming alliances here and there, or a merger. I mean, in line with this, in Osun State, we've had members of the PDP, front-line members of the PDP, defecting to the APC. Now, talk about politics. I mean, these are not things unusual, but time, like they say, will tell what all of these handshake or meetings or alliances is all about.
So absolutely, absolutely. I think like they say, politics, there are no permanent friends,
only permanent interests,
and no permanent enemies.
Only permanent interests.
Yeah, that's
whenever I hear handshake, all I keep remembering is Kenya, William Ruto, and all the handshake arrangements that were talked about before he got into power. But that's a conversation for another day. Adebola, thank you for joining us with Breakfast Headlines. We'll see you at 9 a.m.
My pleasure.
All right. Welcome back. Residents of Jos, the Plateau State capital, have lamented the fuel situation grappling the state as they are still confronted by the scarcity of petrol. Now, this is coming despite promises by the nation's petroleum company, NNPCL, to make petrol available to Nigerians. News Central's Chizoba Anyonwe was on the streets of Jos to feel the pulse of citizens and filed in this report.
This is what major roads in Jos City look like these days. The usually very busy roads of Yakubugo One Way, Amadu Bello Way, and Bank Road see less traffic now. Many residents prefer to leave their vehicles at home, boarding public transport, which become cheaper at the end of the day. At the petrol stations, people spend many hours and most times go back home without buying the product after contributing to the unbelievable queues even on double lanes of major roads.
As in my case, I've been here since 6 o'clock in the morning. Now I think it's to 3 or so. I've not even gotten fuel. And the way it seems, it's as if I'm not going to get. I'm not sure of getting fuel today.
Been here for an hour or two and I've not gotten. I don't even have a hope of getting it. I don't know if I will even get the fuel at the end of it.
The removal of subsidy on petrol by the federal government forced the pump price to rise beyond 300%. As the people grapple with the realities of the ripple effect of the high cost of petrol, the pumps in many petrol stations run dry, or so it seems. This is contrary to several promises made by the government and its agencies.
All the filling stations have been shut down, except for the few, this one, and then probably I passed one mobile around Challenge Bookshop. All of them have been down.
They are not bringing down to the normal price that will land the federal government has ordered that it should come down. But they are not helping matters at all. So as a result of that, in this NNPC now, it's choke. It's choke because the price is less.
some illegal traders of this same commodity make use of the opportunity to enrich their pockets. Plateau State government has responded to the harsh realities in the transportation sector with the commissioning of 15 metro buses. But the question on the lips of many is, how effective are the buses in addressing the deep issues of petrol scarcity and the attending high costs of transportation?
The essence of these metro bus services that you're seeing is to curtail the suffering that is being faced by people, most especially in the course of fueling of the means of transportation.
I want to believe that it will be a great relief to motor owners, that they will need to really think twice and reduce the number of traffic on the road by parking their vehicles to join this bus.
Few days from now, Nigerians will be marking 1 year of the administration of President Bola Tinubu and many state governors alike. Citizens will be sharply divided in assessing the achievements of government with the heavy burden of high cost of living hanging on their neck. Many hope that the last 1 year was sufficient for all the trials and mistakes as they approach the second year of government with anticipation of better days. In Jos for News Central, Chizoba Anyoni.
All right, there you have it. Fuel scarcity here and there, and this time in Jos. A few weeks ago was here in Lagos, particularly. We also saw queues in Abuja, the Federal Capital Territory. But the House of Representatives Committee on Midstream, Downstream sector as well have come out to say that there's enough fuel to go around, so there's no need for Nigerians to panic buy, just as they've put it. Olive, we've seen this happen over and over again, but it seems to be a little discord between the fuel marketers.
Said, yeah.
Yes, what is being said from the fuel marketers, the Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria as well, and then don't forget to we Nigerians. So,
I mean, it's a very sad reality because we've all seen the impact of fuel scarcity. It just feels like it's a very tough time for Nigerians. And I'm really hoping that the government steps in, the federal government looks into the situation so we can have a more permanent solution to the fuel crisis. I mean, I don't see that we will completely be rid of fuel scarcity, but not with the frequency with which we've had it this year in 2024. But we'll bring more updates regarding that as we get it, and we hope that it eases out in Plateau. We'll move away from there now to the Democratic Republic of Congo.
Absolutely. Let's show you that the Democratic Republic of Congo's army has repelled an attempted coup d'etat. Armed men attacked the Kinshasa residence of former Speaker of the National Assembly and current Deputy Prime Minister of Economy, Vital Kamerhe, but were stopped by his guards. Kamerhe's spokesman, Michel Moto Muhima, said on social media. The army said Congolese and foreign fighters were involved in the coup, which was reportedly thwarted early Sunday.
Local media had identified the armed men as Congolese soldiers, but later reported that they were linked to self-exiled opposition figure Christian Malanga, who posted a video on Facebook threatening President Felix Tshisekedi. Sylvain Ekenge, the Democratic Republic of Congo Army spokesperson, said several suspects have been detained and the situation is now under control. It's important to note that the DRC Army has said that some of the suspects held US and Canadian passports. And, one wonders if there is no link between these people and the local army or members of security forces. This attack then raises concerns on how the perpetrators succeeded in entering a highly protected place and attacking a high-profile member of the government. And, joining us to sort of explain what exactly happened here, maybe to give us an idea as to what exactly is going on, is foreign affairs and political analyst. We are joined by Dr. David Masanga. Good morning, Doctor. Thank you very much for joining us.
Good morning across the continent of Africa. Thank you very much for inviting me very early in the morning, and I'm ready to go.
All right. Doctor, talk to us about what you think is going on here. The reports have it that these are not locals, that the men who have carried out these attacks are not locals, and that they have foreign passports, and something links them to the foreign world. So how is it exactly that these people who are not locals have been able to perpetrate this attack here, attack in the DRC?
Thank you very much. First of all, the Democratic Republic of Congo is torn in two pieces. It is not Congo. It is not the Congo that we knew. In the East, there is a fight, and that you can't rule out foreign mercenaries. Russians are there, the CIA mercenaries are there, all Al-Qaeda is there. There are so many factions within the Congo, 204 rebel groups, outfits in DRC Congo. I and Joe, we have been talking about this conflict for a long time. And it is not surprising that you find foreigners penetrating into the high security end of DRC Congo. I have been to Kinshasa several times, and I know what that area is. For even a taxi or Uber to pass around, you need quite a lot of identities. So how did they find their way into that palatial place which is well guarded by the Congolese army? Is a question.
All right. We do know that the perpetrator has indeed been named and also fingered or pointed. We're talking about a certain person known as Christian Malanga. Looking at his background, he's been in and out of the country, spent most of his time in the United States, formed a party while also there, also equally in Belgium, and while captured, as we see in that picture, the image right there on the screen, his son was also part of this perpetrator, or you could say this coup. Sadly, his life has indeed been snuffed or taken off. What do you make of this? Do you see any point in him engaging in such acts? And could it be that it's due to the grievances against Felix Tshisekedi?
I want to tell you frankly, my brother, and the old people in Africa listening. A country with 240 rebel groups standing on their ground, on their soil. That's point number one. Point number two, all these rebel groups are fighting for one. There's a vacuum. The Democratic Republic of Congo has not moved to make sure that they wipe out all these rebel groups, to get out, to get peace, either sit with them on table or do away with them. Have enough money, resources to fight the rebels out of this territory. Three, external forces that the Congolese themselves know, especially the United States of America, France. They have been meddling in this country for a long time. From 1963, they have killed more people than internal rebellion itself. From Belgium up to today to France and the USA. If the guy who is coming to kill President Tshisekedi is coming from nowhere other than the United States of America, which preaches to us that we should not sort things by violence. Now here we are, we find its nationals found in the city, in Kinshasa, being mercenaries, going to kill an African president. We have been tolerating this thing for some time, Joe. They came and killed Idris of Chad, installed the son. We kept quiet. African Union kept quiet. Matsanga made noise. And I told the people, someone has killed Idris, and that person is France. Time has come for us to be honest that most of these African countries, there is something which is very wrong. Nobody wants Congo to be peaceful, because the more it has conflicts, the more they draw out the minerals that they want. If it is peaceful, there will be no more coming to take the minerals the way you take. Look at what they have done in Libya, Joe. They have made Libya ungovernable. But illicit trade is going on. Oil of Libya is being taken to France. We have to speak up as Africans. I'm not a coward on this continent at all. If I'm to go, I will join the others. But I must speak for the generation that is coming. So many bad things are happening all the way from the West African coast into now. Why is it that it's French territories? Can you imagine? French territories, former French territories. We have more problems than the English-speaking territories. Something is wrong. We must change the policy. The policy of the Western Hemisphere. 5 members of the United Nations Security Council are quarreling What do you expect about 200 members of UN? If 5 permanent members, 3 against 2 are fighting in the Security Council, and they are the ones who pretend to be guarding our peace internationally. The situation everywhere around that border, Equatorial Guinea, Gabon, Cameroon, it is just a matter of time, my brother. I'm telling you, it is just a matter of time. More of these mercenaries are going to spring up, go to presidential palace, shoot down the president, and they take over power. Because people want to grab the resources that they have. Congo will never have peace.
So now that you've mentioned this, I mean, we've seen this happen in Burkina Faso, Guinea, Mali. This is not the first time that we're seeing this happen. The military overthrew President Mohamed Bazoum in July 2023. We saw in Burkina Faso, the country witnessed 2 coups in 2022. The first occurred in January when the president ousted President Kabore. And the second coup happened in September, led by Ibrahim Traore. Now, we've seen this happen over and over again. And from what you're saying, we should expect to see more coups. What is the way out?
The way out is, first, to stand up to strengthen African Union. I've been crying single-handedly in Africa about the management of African Union by Dr. Mahamat Faki. Very corrupt. He sold our organization to France. He has sold it. It is no longer, my sister and Joe, don't talk about AU. AU is a photo organization where these presidents, your president, President Tinubu, goes to wear his clothes and stand there, take photographs. There is nothing coming out of there. The AU we had was the AU when Muammar Gaddafi was there, was the AU when Nkrumah, Haile Selassie, Nyerere, Gabriel Nas, Obote, Jomo Kenyatta. That's the AU we used to, or AU we used to have. The AU we have now is a complice of the French. The French have captured our organization. The French have muzzled us in our own headquarters of African Union. That gentleman seated there, Dr. Mohamed Faki, he better leaves very quickly. So we reorganize the AU so that we can preach democracy. Can you imagine that these guys, 54 heads of state, run to one country? Oh, I have been called by Russia. They pack their bags quickly. Have been called by South Korea. They have been called by smaller countries in Europe, calling heads of state. A person in Ghana, a person in Nigeria, with a population of 220 million people, you are being summoned by a state of 4 million people in Europe. And then you are president of Africa. Where is patriotism amongst Africans? Because AU has collapsed. And this collapse is coming back to bite us. Across there is another coup waiting. Somewhere there, 2 of them. You don't talk. I am always frank, and I tell you I'm not a prophet of doom. And I'm not a harbinger of bad news either. But I teach political science worldwide. Across there are 3 coups in smelling. Because some of the things that are taking place are not very good at all. AU has not asserted its democratic institutions amongst Africans. It is not teaching Africa how democracy should be. It is not telling us which way Africa. It is selling us to these same guys who are actually, you think this man left the United States, brought in guns. Who was, the CIA did not know that he was coming to topple the government of Congo. They knew. If he had succeeded to kill Tshisekedi, who would benefit? America. There you are. Where is the AU? AU can do nothing. AU is already aware. You remember Xi Jinping, who was the Secretary General of African Union, when the 5 presidents wanted to stop the killing of Muammar Gaddafi, with a plane going towards Tripoli to remove Muammar Gaddafi. Xi Jinping the former Secretary General of African Union, had 18 telephone calls, 18 telephone direct calls from Sarkozy to stop the plane. Where is Muammar Gaddafi? Where is Libya? It's gone. These are facts. This is not a lie. We can get those intelligence reports from the same agencies. So for me, as an African, I am really worried, a worried man today, that our African Union has been captured, taken, unless Nigeria and other countries stand up and say we want our African Union, which can assert power and authority over the issues of AU and African institutions. There is nothing we are going to get out of this. Look at Sudan. Look at Central African Republic. You are talking about Congo. Next to Congo, there is Central African Republic that has never seen peace, my sister and brother. They have never seen peace. The French are taking minerals there every day. Two Airbuses being airlifted to Paris every day. What tourism is in Paris, in Banjul, that you have to send 2 Airbuses, 320, to carry what? 2 leaving, 2 entering. What are they carrying? Our minerals. They don't want Central African Republic to be peaceful. Time has come up to stand up and tell the truth as an African. Unfortunately, the presidents who used to speak on the African continent are all dead. We are left with nothing. The rest are photo presidents. I'm sorry. And I don't want to go personal on this.
I understand.
Museveni tries to speak. He tries to speak on Pan-Africanism, but he's told, we shall put a sanction on you. Have you seen how they have muzzled my country? They have put a sanction on Uganda, removed it from AGOA, because Museveni spoke and said, what is going on here? Why do you come here to tell us that we should do the things that we don't want? They put a sanction on Uganda, removed it from AGOA list. Ethiopia was removed. Burkina Faso was removed. Another country was removed. If you speak up, they remove you. Some of us have no desire to go to United States. We have already got enough degrees. Too many, 5, 10. We can add there more from United Kingdom. And we can go there. It doesn't discriminate. If US does not want some people, fine. But time has come, you, the younger generation, especially you people in the media, to be investigative, to find out why are these military coups becoming more popular in Niger, Burkina Faso, Mali. I was there. If you'd say the military men are bad, they will stone you, they will lynch you. I'm telling you right now, I've been there. I'm talking from my experience. Everybody there is very happy with the military coup in Niger. Nobody wants them to live. In Burkina Faso, nobody wants them to live. In Mali, nobody wants them to live.
All right.
The only confused military coup is the one of Guinea Conakry. That is just tall man there. He's confused. He doesn't know what to do. And the one in Gabon. But the other 3 surrounding you, nobody wants them to live.
Let's also look at the fact that DR Congo currently has over 120 rebel forces that they already
204. Let me correct you. 204 now.
All right, fine. 204. The last time I did check, we did see about 120, but you say 204. Looking at the northern, the southern Kivu region as well. And not forgetting too that the M23 rebel forces have seemed to be one of the dominant forces that indeed affecting that particular Central African country. Now we've seen a coup. Many are saying the fact that a United States citizen was equally found culprit as part of the perpetrators. It kind of like takes away France from being accused or fingered in this case. What's your thought on that? Are we starting to see the entire West playing a key role in ensuring that there is no peace in DR Congo?
Let me tell you, whenever you see United States, you see France. Whenever you see France, you see Qatar, you see UAE. Those are the back room. If you know what backroom computer systems of US is, UAE, Qatar. Those countries, wherever you see them, they know one is coming to drill oil and another one is coming to fund for the drilling. So this question of US and taking over from France, they work, the intelligence systems of DSGE and the CIA, they work together behind the computer systems, backroom. They say, for you, you start, we shall back you up in the United Nations Security Council. But let me come back to Congo itself. My brother, there is one problem that I want, and let us be honest. There is one thing, and this honest thing will come from this gentleman. I'm going back to the maker. Tomorrow he can call me. I'm not bothered. I want to tell you the truth. There is one thing we have to do about DRC Congo. If we were to find peace in DRC Congo, we have to balkanize Congo.
You have to do what?
Balkanize Congo.
Okay,
yes.
I want you to talk about...
I'm honest, like we did it to Yugoslavia. Is there anyone there? Congo. If you don't give a state, there are people in Congo fighting for a state. M23 is fighting for a state. Africans are fearing to tell you. I'm a different breed of Africans. I talk my mind. M23 is being discriminated in DRC Congo. Tshisekedi calls them foreigners. Now, when they come on this other side, they don't have anywhere to go. They are refugees in our country, Uganda. We can't chase them out because they have been chased from DRC Congo. They are refugees in Rwanda. Rwanda can't throw them out. Now, if you want a peaceful Central Africa, we either agree on one, same autonomous states, so that they can be with same autonomy like India, but have one foreign policy. That one Tshisekedi doesn't want. Now these people who speak Swahili, who are near Uganda and Rwanda, are no longer wanted in west of Kinshasa, in the capital city. They are called foreigners. Tell me how peace will be got. You cannot choose anybody for funding M23. I'm not going to go to those details because I don't have facts. But you also look at the stakeholders around that region, Joe and my sister. All stakeholders around Congo, 9 countries who are neighbors of Congo. Today, let me speak the truth, and God help me, free me from this fallacy of Africa leaders keeping quiet. All the 9 states, Oliver and my brother Joe, all of them are dishonest. They are dishonest. All of them. That's why peace cannot come to Congo. So the basic thing for me as a conflict resolution expert in the world, you can call me, I can tell you the only solution you need now is a state for the M23. They need a state. Wow. Let's not beat about the bush. And then waste money, or UN is flying. Tomorrow, the UN envoy will be shot down.
All right.
They will shoot it down the plane. I told Kenyatta not to go there. I told President Kenyatta, don't start going there, because those boys will kill you. All right. They can kill you.
Dr. Masanga, I mean, we can go on and on and on, but due to our time on the breakfast show, I want to say thank you so much. I'm sure and I'm certain that you will join us later on in the course of the day's broadcast.
Anytime, call me. Absolutely. Let me tell you, Joe.
Absolutely.
We need to discuss Africa frankly. Yugoslavia divided into several states. There is a peace in Europe. Why should we have one country since 1884, causing us all the problems in this region, yet it has minerals? Give them a state. All right. Let's have several states, and they govern. Africa will not die because Congo has been divided.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Doctor, for joining us. I mean, we see how very passionately you speak about the unification of Africa, and but this is a conversation that is ongoing. The challenges that are bedeviling the continent are, conversations that will not end in one conversation. So we hope to have you join us again to look at this. Thank you for your time with us. Thank you for your time. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you. All right.
All right. It is, of course, still here, Breakfast Central. We've just finished conversation about the DR Congo and the thwarted attempted coup. We'll go on a quick break, and when we come back, there's more. The Nigerian Army has announced that troops of Operation Heading Kai Northeast have rescued 387 hostages held in Sambisa Forest. The General Officer commanding GOC 7 Division and Commander Sector 1 OPHK, Brigadier General Abubakar Haruna, said that the 387 rescued persons were civilians, including women and children, who were forced to stay in the forest by Boko Haram insurgents for over a decade ago, adding that the rescued ones were not members of the insurgents. He allegedly added that the military had also recovered weapons, emeralds, and other equipment from the insurgents, who initially seized them from soldiers and other security operatives. He pointed out that during the operation, many Boko Haram fighters surrendered to the army. Of course, this is a story that's still developing. There have been several reactions to this. Some find this very unbelievable. But of course, these are reports that we, of course, will be bringing updates as we receive them. But for now, let's bring you the sports update. We have good news for Man City fans who have been crowned winners for the 4th season in a row. We're joined this morning by News Central Sports Editor Babatunde Koiki. Good morning, and thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
I think I should start by asking you which club you support, so I know if it was a TFS.
Am I allowed to say this on air?
Of course you are. Yes, you are.
Really?
Yes, you are. You want to avoid it. So we know what Johansson was crying yesterday.
All I can say is that I'm not an Arsenal fan. I'm not a Manchester United fan. That's all I can say.
So you're either Chelsea or Man City?
I'm a Liverpool fan.
He's a Liverpool.
Okay.
Unfortunately, they were doing the last dance, and the recording would not really look good.
So first of all, how did you feel about yesterday? How do you feel about Man City crowned as a champions for 4th season in a row? Did you see it coming? Man City seems to have been that powerful team.
Everybody saw it coming. Yeah. It was a matter of when.
Did you see it coming from the beginning?
I wasn't sure, because when you win a treble, like they did last season, it was always going to be very difficult to follow that up with a very good performance. But to be honest, following up a treble with possibly a double is not a bad. You just show that they've shown consistency. And the truth is, they've done what no other team has done before. Even when Liverpool were dominating England in the 70s and the 80s, they never won 4 in a row. Even when Manchester United were peerless in the 2000s, they never won 4 in a row. So you must give them credit for what they've done. And that is 6 titles in the last 7 years. It's truly an astounding feat. And it's clear to say that they are pretty much the most dominant team in England. Absolutely.
The most dominant team in England. And I don't recall when Pep Guardiola did set his foot into the Premier League, and you had legendary coaches such as Alex Ferguson, who had said it's going to be tough for you now that you're coming to the Premier League. But I guess he's eating his words now at the back of what Manchester United came forth with. But let's look at the victory. Let's look at pair on pair with Arsenal. The chances were there for Arsenal. The chances were there for Manchester City. I'm not going to put Liverpool in the mix.
The chances were there for everyone. It's a 38-game season.
I know.
Everybody
I'm talking about the final lap.
Okay.
Now, the final lap where there was a time where Liverpool were at the top of the table. True. There were switches here and there, no consistency. So everyone was looking for who would actually fall off so anybody can actually take over. But let's talk about Arsenal now. The slim chance, not being able to win. What does this do for that team going forward next season?
I think it just creates a greater sense of hunger. The fact that they've come close twice, the fact that they could taste it, smell it, but not touch it, continues to give them that drive, that impetus, that hunger that, look, we are almost good enough, but not quite good enough. And they're just pretty much feeling what Liverpool have felt in the past, where Liverpool lost the title. They had 97 points, didn't win the Premier League. Had 93 points, didn't win the Premier League. In the history of the Premier League, very few teams have managed to get that amount of points and never win. So this season alone, Manchester City won this title with 91 points. Any other season, maybe Arsenal would have won it. Any other season, Liverpool would have won it. But the truth is, you must give Pep Guardiola some respect. As a manager, he's been doing this for 15 years, and he has won league titles in 12 out of those 15 years. That's truly astonishing. But you also have to look at Manchester City's win and put it in context. Don't forget that they still have 115 charges of, that they broke 115 charges against them regarding how they've conducted themselves financially. I mean, those charges are staggering. I mean, 54 failures to provide accurate financial information, 14 failures to provide accurate details of player and manager payments, 5 times they failed to comply with UEFA's rules, including financial fair play, breaching Premier League PSL rules 7 times, that's profit and sustainability rules, and 35 times they failed to cooperate with the Premier League investigations between December 2018 and February 2023. So basically, everyone is looking at this. Yes, you've done well, but there's still a dark cloud over your achievements. Pretty much when you see a boxer has won something, but he's been found to have been using performance-enhancing drugs. And that's the way everybody's looking at this right now.
All right, let's talk about your club for a little bit. I want to find out, first of all, what your thoughts are on Jurgen Klopp's exit for the final time. So his opening day mission statement, he did say that a person's time should not be analyzed by, I'm not using the exact words, but it shouldn't be analyzed by what people think about you when you arrive, but when you're leaving. So what would you say is the general consensus about Jurgen Klopp now that he's leaving, his time as manager and now that he's leaving, and what does it do for the club? Well,
I can say that the vast majority of Liverpool fans are unhappy, distraught.
There were tears.
Oh yeah. I wouldn't. There was an itch in my eye throughout yesterday as well. You get the impression that even rival managers are sad to see him because he's such a huge personality. Also a brilliant manager as well. Some say he should have won more than he did. But when you are competing against a state-funded superpower like Manchester City, it was always going to be difficult. But I think he achieved his mission statement of turning Liverpool fans from doubters to believers. And they did believe. They won the Premier League after 30 years. They won their 6th UEFA Champions League title. And for a period of time, they were probably the best team in Europe. They played 2 Champions League finals against a Real Madrid team that is pretty much an unstoppable winning machine. And I think he'll be fondly remembered. He might get a statue way down the line sometime in Liverpool. But I think the general consensus is that they're heartbroken. It's like seeing a favorite uncle leave. I've never met Jurgen Klopp. I've been to Anfield a few times, but I've never met Jurgen Klopp. But I look at him and I feel this is someone who I possibly have gotten along with. And the general consensus really is one of dismay. But we're hoping that with the foundations that he's built and he's left behind, his successor, who's Arne Slot, who's about to leave Feyenoord and become the new Liverpool manager, will have another sustained period of success.
Would you say that the team has hope? It would seem that Jurgen Klopp has left such big shoes to fill. And do you think his successor, does he look, for now, from what we can see, does he look like he can fit into the shoe? Even though we know that Jurgen Klopp has said we shouldn't judge by what people think about the person when they first come in, but by what they've done when they go out. But for what it looks like now, the general consensus, is it that he can fill those shoes?
Well, considering the fact that the last bald manager who came from the Dutch Eredivisie is currently being hounded.
Are you taking a jibe?
I didn't mention anyone. And Dutch managers generally don't do too well in the Premier League. We've seen we've seen Koeman come. Yeah. We've seen one of the De Boer brothers also come as well. Ten Hag also tried a little, but now I think they're looking for ways to defenestrate him.
I think they finished 8th.
Yeah, they finished it. So not exactly Manchester United styles, but if you're a Liverpool fan, you will always have hope. The club song says, there's a part that says, walk on with hope in your heart. So there will always be hope for Liverpool, as a Liverpool fan, that there will always be brighter days. Having won 20 Premier League titles, having won 6 UEFA Champions League titles, still remaining the most successful club in British football, you will always have hope.
Well, as we wrap this up, let's quickly let you know for our viewers, for those who are thinking, it's Manchester City topping that table, followed by Arsenal, followed by Liverpool, meaning that there's Champions League slot for these clubs. Not forgetting to Aston Villa as well. Yeah. Great way, Aston Villa. Yeah. Many saw this coming, by the way, because of the wonderful run, especially this season. Last season, they were very promising. And then Tottenham. We thought they would bungle it in between.
They did.
But of course, they bungled the Champions League spots, let's be honest. But we thought they would bungle it further to go down and then allow Chelsea take over, then Manchester United. But then again, I'm happy that they made it there. 5th position, Chelsea 6th. So-called Chelsea, they said wouldn't make it 6th. Finally, my question to you would be, if we look at the top 3 relegated clubs, Luton, Burnley and Sheffield, and then the return of Leicester with our very own Nigerian boys who are coming back to the Premier League. What's your take on that, by the way?
Well, for the relegated teams, they feel particularly unhappy because they were just the teams that were the same teams who are promoted are the same teams who are relegated. So it's pretty much a bounce. But I'm sure they'll look at it and say it was a campaign where they think they should have done better. But it's never easy competing in the Premier League. The experience that these teams have, the riches that they have, the ability to attract some of the best players in the world will always count against you. So it's no big surprise that they were relegated straight after being promoted. For Leicester City, it is basically a redemption for them. This is a team that was just Premier League champions against us just a few years ago, suffered relegation, but they're now back after the first time of trying. So they're pretty pleased with that. Ipswich, you remember them as well? Our own former Super Eagles, current Super Eagles manager, George Finidi, used to play for them at some point in time. So they're happy as well. But there's still a third place playoff. There's a third place that's supposed to be that's still being fought for in the championship. That's between Southampton and Leeds. It is regarded as the richest game in world football because the team who wins that game is guaranteed of at least £300 million. So whoever wins, so basically the winner gets promoted, but the loser gets all the gate takings from that day. That's some kind of small consolation.
You know, sometimes I wonder what I'm doing here.
It's too late for you, Joe.
No,
it's too late.
These legs.
You know, that I mean, you can redeem it in the next generation. That's why we see a little parents of our generation.
Yes, Project Mbappe.
Exactly. Everybody's child is Project Mbappe. They buy small football. They tell them to kick around.
Project Mbappe.
Project Mbappe.
Do you know just how much your lives can change if you have a child who is an excellent sportsman, especially a footballer? Some of these players earn astounding amounts of money.
So it's time to start praying for my unborn seed. That one of them must be a footballer so that I can rest.
Yes.
I want to be a baller. Thank you so much for joining us this morning on Breakfast Central. It's been quite the show. A lot of conversations we've had this morning.
Thanks for staying with us here on Breakfast Central. It's time for the second hour, and you can be part of the conversation. We do have our phone number right there on the screen, and you can call in, react to either of the headlines that you would find in either of the front pages. We're going to start off first with our very first paper this morning, and that takes us straight to the Punch. Let's punch you with the front page.
Even though we're not into violence.
No violence, no violence. It's just what the word, identifies, something. Oil production nears 1.7 mbpd according to NNPC. Talking about the oil production that many Nigerians have indeed been clamoring for, asking why is there still fuel scarcity despite the fact that we are an oil producing state. But then again, this past week, the man whom many have been looking up to, otherwise the man whom many have said could bring an end to all fuel scarcity, I beg your pardon, will indeed do more, has come out to say that in June, Nigeria would not have any of those issues. We'll talk about that later on, but let's go back to the front pages there. MPC may rise interest rate again on Tuesday. Oh my goodness. Anyway, CBN, SEC fined 9 banks 678 million naira. That's what the fine is. They fined 9 banks. And let's take a look at another one. Federal government may slash 6 trillion naira fuel import. That's another big story. Federal government may actually slash 6 trillion naira fuel import. That's the story. It says 520 billion monthly fuel import expected to drop as Dangote begins supply in June. And that's the story we're talking about. Dangote says there will be no need. There'll be no need. So just take some time out. We'll take a look at the front page there. A sad story in Iran. Helicopter crash. Iranian spray for missing president and minister. And the breaking story, the early hours of this morning was that the president is indeed dead. Quite sad. The president is indeed dead. We're talking about the Iranian president who lost his life in a helicopter crash. It
was very sad.
Very sad. That's President Ibrahim Raisi. He has been confirmed dead. So that's the latest update on that story. 8 manufacturers suffer 627 billion naira forex losses. 8 manufacturers suffer 627 billion naira forex losses. Cocaine seizure. NDLEA declares couple wanted. You can see that couple. I saw their pictures all everywhere on social media. They actually wanted by the NDLEA. You find out that story when you read inside. Of course, it's drugs. It's drugs. That's what they've done. Lastly, my final story, federal government begins housing construction in 4 states. Housing construction in 4 states. A conversation we're going to have this week, by the way, concerning housing especially here, not just in Lagos, but in Nigeria and different parts of the country. We've seen how demolitions is taking place. It's like a project demolition in Lagos. We've seen it take place in the east, southeast, and not forgetting to in the Federal Capital Territory. But that's all we're taking on the front page of the Punch. What other story we're looking at?
All right, heading over to the Daily Independent. The big story is there. Airlines Interior Ministry violating expatriate quota, I beg your pardon, according to NAAPE. Says NCAA lacks robust database for professionals. Aircraft wet leasing not good for local development, says expert. Gunmen kidnap royal father in Akwa Ibom. You know, it's become very embarrassing to see the conversations about kidnapping. These days, it's not even a big deal. It doesn't make big headlines anymore. It just feels like it's become a normal part of our reality. Oh, 20 people were kidnapped. 30 people were kidnapped. How many school children were kidnapped? Royal fathers were kidnapped. It's become very embarrassing. Or do I say less? Okay, it's become embarrassing how very normal. We've accepted kidnapping to become a very day-to-day part of our lives as Nigerians, and we don't need to see an end to insurgency. Page 6, Tinubu appoints infra-core lead developer of Nigeria's Evergreen City. NDLEA declares India-based Nigerian couple wanted nabs 70-year-old grandpa. So, I haven't yet gotten into the full details of that story, but at 70, what exactly are you looking for if at 70? I want to imagine that he was set up and he had no idea. You know, I haven't looked into the details of the story. You know how they're usually the stories of, oh, if somebody wants to send you anything abroad, don't carry you, because some people would search. I mean, I've seen, I think the most ridiculous ways people have tried to traffic drugs that I've seen on the internet would be the one who put it inside ceramic plates. And I don't know how they laced it in, but on the surface, it looks like just a plate. But inside, there were drugs. I've seen the one of bathroom slippers. I don't know how they laced it inside the slippers. I've seen the one of yam. Somebody thought they were taking yam into, taking yam. You know the way you're going abroad and your family members are craving Nigerian food and they're telling you, bring stockfish for me, bring this. They genuinely thought they were taking yam. And for some reason, I don't know why they cut the yam open and the yam was full of drugs. So it's right to be on a safe side, better safe than sorry. Don't accept anything for anybody because nobody's going to hear, oh, it wasn't my own. I think there was a time somebody was going to send something to me and I said to the person, I'm going to make, I was that paranoid. I said, if I'm going to take this, I'm going to make a video of you showing the things that you are giving to me and stating that this is your own and not mine, so that if anything goes wrong. So,
just do a video. Hold on, just do a video. Say these things.
Hello, these things are mine. I want Olive to help me deliver to my family member in London, so that anything goes wrong, that can be evidence. But the truth is, there is no guarantee.
I think, for me, I don't collect at all.
At this point, yes. I try my best not to even send as well. I mean, you can use all the other courier services.
Use the courier services and send.
Yes. So it's just very unfortunate. Even the things of, oh, help me look after my box at the airport. Or I have excess luggage. You don't have a lot of luggage. Can I attach my box to you? No.
Excuse me? No.
Please, don't try it. There's so many ways in which people can be, implicated.
Absolutely.
Anyway. But just to mention that very recently our lawmakers had passed a bill, or they had passed a bill, or are passing a bill to conclude that anyone who's caught trafficking drugs will face the death penalty. But that's something that a number of Nigerians are still debating about. Still on the front page, helicopter carrying Iran's President Raisi crashes, search underway. It's unfortunate what has happened in Iran. There have been reports about what's happening. Of course, we know that the body is being sought, and once the body is found and sent back to Iran, burial would commence almost immediately. We also know that the vice president steps in immediately to become the president, to run the affairs. The question about what happens next is also another question to look at in Iran. If this we know the elections are underway, they're going to have to start planning elections in Iran now that this unfortunate incident has happened. But the question now would be, as the vice president has stepped in to govern the affairs in Iran, is he now going to be allowed to run for office at the next elections? You know, the way it's run in Iran is quite different, where I think they're called the governing council, so have to approve to allow you to be able to run. So one, will he now decide to run in the next elections? Two, will it be approved for him to run at the next elections? I know there's more investigation. Searches are still being conducted. Lots of bodies and peoples and organizations around the world have sent their condolences to the people of Iran in such trying times. And of course, you can, even when you watch their channels, you can see that there's a cloud of mourning over there. Still on the front page, SERAP sues Wike governors over failure to account for FAAC allocations. Obi visits victims of Kano mosque attack. At the top of the paper, reconcile aggrieved APC members. Reps Speaker tells Ganduje. And the final story here, Tinubu raises Committee on Green Economic Initiatives, offers Ngelale fresh appointment. President Bola Tinubu has appointed Chief Ajuri Ngelale as Special Presidential Envoy on Climate Action. So I think congratulations are in order for Ajuri Ngelale on his new appointment. We're joined this morning by Public Affairs Analyst Dr. Ojon, as we look at some of the stories on the front pages of the newspapers this morning. Good morning, Mr. Ojon. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning.
You brought in sunshine into the studio with your bright orange. I love it so
Absolutely.
much.
On a Monday morning.
On a Monday morning.
Sure, yeah.
Thank you.
Anyway, we've gone through some of the headlines already. We started off with the Punch, how federal government may slash 6 trillion naira fuel import. I mean, this is thanks to Dangote, as it's rightly put, right from the weekend. We also looked at the fact that the CBN SEC are finding 9 banks 678 trillion naira. Not forgetting too, Olive did take some of the big stories there as well. One of it is gunmen kidnapping royal father in Akwa Ibom, and we looked at how it has become the norm in the headlines as well. Let's quickly run through some of the other stories as well from these two papers. Tinubu appoints this big one to Infracore lead developer of Nigeria's Evergreen City. This is a conversation that took place all through yesterday. Ajuri Ngelale moving his position as well. Used to be the special assistant to the president when it came to a special advisor, I beg your pardon, when it came to media and of course communications as well. And then one big one, SERAP again sues Wike governors over failure to account for FAAC allocations, the FAAC allocations. Let's have you react to either of these stories.
Where should we begin from?
Anyone that you choose. You know.
Okay, let's begin from the very wonderful news. Dangote was in Kigali, and he actually broke the news, so to say, that by June, that Nigeria may actually end importation of petrol particularly, and I'm excited about that. But again, my duty here is just to also tell you some little implications and what led to where we are. One of them is that as we speak now, I don't know whether you're aware that Dangote may not have access to the Nigeria crude. He's been trying to import crude. What happens to our own crude? We have actually mortgaged our crude for a very, very long time. That means that if we do not produce above the 1.3 million per day, which is our OPEC quota, we may not have any crude to give Dangote refinery. So the question has always been, has he been able to, because June is just about 4 or 5 months from now, has he been able to source for crude to the point that we will have abundance of fuel as it is? I said it last week that our life as a people is heavily dependent on petrol, because everything we do is about petrol, diesel, and all of that. So it's going to be a very great news if this happens. And I don't want to be skeptical this morning, but I just need to point you to the fact that also it may not immediately affect the price of fuel. It has affected the price of diesel. But when you look at our own consumption, our petrol consumption, consuming about 60 million barrels per day is really very huge. The essence of the Dangote refinery is capitalist in nature, and he also wants to make gain. At the end of the year, the shareholders want to see that this is what has been brought to the table. So it may not immediately, it's also located at a free trade zone. The idea of a free trade zone is that it's almost as good as we are also importing, despite the fact that it's within the territory of Nigeria. We are happy, but these are also some of the things that we need to consider as a people.
All right.
Yeah.
I want us to quickly look at some of the papers because there are some stories I've seen that I like on the other papers. I want us to quickly look at the Vanguard newspaper. On the front page of the Vanguard, manufacturers wail as unsold goods pile up in warehouses. Yeah. As cost of living rises, purchasing power drops. Palm oil producers worst hit. Beer producers emerge best performers. Beer, that's interesting. Experts blame FX volatility, energy crisis, and prefer solutions. Intense search for Iran's president Raisi after helicopter accident. It's interesting the way the Vanguard put accident in quote. Tinubu OK's establishment of green industrial zone. Federal government moves to fight inflation through CNG. Edo gubernatorial elections. Labour moves to reconcile Akpata Imasu Agbon. Minimum wage. Why we may not accept 100,000 according to organized labor. So let's start with the cost of living and why manufacturers are wailing as unsold goods pile up in warehouses. What the reality of this is for manufacturers and for the Nigerian economy, because we know the strength of the SMEs and the businesses and how well they support the economy and how they're like the backbone. No. So if they are complaining that the unsold goods are piling up in the warehouses, what is next? Okay,
let me start with the line of a comedian who says that if anything happens, Nigerians drink to celebrate. If nothing happens, you drink that nothing happens, you understand. That's why you're saying that beer is actually doing well. Every pressure put on the economy may actually be a good fortune on the part of beer. That's on a lighter note. But in reality, is that for this government, they do not have problems with ideas. Fantastic ideas. When you open the pages of newspapers daily, you see that they have fantastic ideas. But again, we must be careful the way we execute some of these ideas. You see, there's this concept in leadership, there's this concept of change management. The idea of change management is that because change really comes to break the chain of habit. So the concept of change management is for you to oil this chain of habit so that in the process of breaking it, you don't get to shock the beneficiary of change to death. Now, what we're having is that ambitious government, fantastic policies, but in the process of execution, no Nigerian may remain to actually enjoy the product of the good we are looking for. And I want to use the word of the president now. We are being suffocated, as it were. So we need to be very, very careful. The purchasing power of an average Nigerian has actually dropped. I've not been to church in a while, and I went there yesterday. The conversation I had with my pastor was heart-wrenching, in the sense that what the entire church is concerned about is actually how to take care of the welfare needs of people. These are people who could come to church before now and even drop offering. They can no longer come to church. So it's a big issue. The living standard of Nigerian people has actually dropped. Our ability to get our basic need is not there. And what are the basic needs? People just want to feed. You see an adult with tie begging for alms, not because he wants to do it. You can tell from his look, you can tell from his behavior that he's actually been pushed towards the end. See, a PRO of an organization called me, and it's a guy that is doing well. Before you can be a PRO, and he said, "Oh, guys, send me something." And I was trying to explain, "Oh, there's not." He said, "No, I just need 2K to buy noodles before my kids come back from school." I broke down. That is the reality. So when you're making policy, you must give the allowance for the people who want to benefit from the policy you are making to actually lead a meaningful life, at least within the process of change. That is what change management is all about. And that's why once you know, when you see a government who doesn't understand the principle of change management, you take tariff or subsidy from the two most important aspects of your people's life. You take it from electricity, you take it from fuel. At the same time, no. Fantastic policies we have, and these SMEs you're talking about now, Nigeria is actually fixated on getting more money, and that's why our interest rate has been jacked up. But the reality is that no community will be able to live with a double-digit interest rate when you know that every nation that we have talked about in this room that has done well economically actually rely on medium and small-scale entrepreneurs. You don't give them light, you are giving them difficulty to borrow, they can't access funds. Now they go on loan app, those ones are sending their pictures to the village that they have refused to pay back. goods that they have produced is there in
just wasting away.
Just wasting away.
And now let's not link this to
must be very strategic.
Organized labor and their request for an increased minimum wage, because of course people's purchasing power has dropped. You know, whilst we're seeing that the cost of living is rising now, minimum wage is saying, organized labor is saying, why we may not accept 100,000 naira. It's been back and forth. 1,600,000. We're going to do 35% increase. It's just been a lot of back and forth. And now, organized labor is saying they may not accept 100,000. Is that a position that they should go with?
In reality, if you want to actually calculate the percentage of the increase or the percentage of the decrease in our standard of living, then you see that 100,000 naira can actually not solve any problem. But again, I do not want the organized labor to begin to think like the government people, especially the APC government. The APC government has an MMM mindset. You know, MMM is more money mystery. You understand? I don't want labor to think that once we have more money, that the problem is going to be solved. Because I said it here before, that what we used to buy for 50 naira has become 200 naira. You get to the supermarket now and they say, oh, your change is remaining 50 naira. They begin to look for what matches the price. There's nothing. The basic suit that you can buy for how much, it can't even cover it. So I want labor to be more strategic about what matters. What truly matters at this point in time is for the government to work on the exchange rate. What matters at this point in time is for us not to continue to deplete our foreign reserve. What matters at this point in time is for bank to be willing to give loan to medium and small scale entrepreneurs. What matters at this point in time is for us to have an efficient transport system. What matters at this point in time is for government to deliberately invest in housing. What matters at this point in time is for government to be able to regulate the prices of food. I cited the example of India the other time because when you look at our situation, you can easily just call on China because of our population and our belief system, our religiosity, and what we are going through. What India was able to do is to create what's it called, a price standardization program. So you know that a woman at my backyard will not say that this cup is 200 naira, and another person is saying it's 700. All right, if you leave Nigerians, they will do that.
Let's hear from Stephen, who's calling from Lagos. Good morning, Stephen. Thank you for calling. Welcome. Please go ahead.
Good morning. Yes, I totally agree with your statement in house. Nigeria will just bring one thing and just splash it out without thinking of the measures of what they are putting out there. Dangote refinery. A one man refinery is what the whole federation is talking about. Meanwhile, we have about 4 refineries. No one is talking about it. And they will come to tell us Dangote refinery. Can Dangote refinery take care of Nigerians? How many millions of people in Nigeria? We have crude oil. We take our crude oil to overseas for them to refine and bring petrol back to us. What about other things that they are being refined that we don't even know? Who is accounting for those things? These people who are writing, I don't know. I don't really know the federal government if they are thinking about the common man. Look at what you are getting in the house is talking about. What is it about the housing? The ministries, do the ministry workers, do they have housing that the government takes much more penny from them? Look at the route, the transport system. Do we have a railway that can transport goods and services everywhere? We hear every day people dying of accidents because of what? Road accidents. Now, look at the student loan that they were talking about. What is happening? They should stop telling us one thing. They will just bring one topic and just tell us. They should do something that the common man can benefit from us, from them. Not that they will just come refinery and do this warehouse. They are just telling us, they are bombarding all these things. It's party government these people are running. They are not ready to do anything for the common Nigerian. That is my take this morning. Thank you. God bless Nigeria.
Thank you for calling, Steve. We've heard his points. That's his view. That's his opinion. And he's talked about how the country is being run.
Yes, absolutely. We are all guilty, and it's an extension of what he said. We're guilty because we must understand that everybody. I keep talking about it that leadership is a product of followership. As it were now, I doubt whether truly we want Nigeria to work. And this is an example I usually give. There was a time I ran for office, and one of the persons that is very close to me, came and said, oh, we know that you can turn things around. You have an idea to do so. Said it in our local dialect. And on the day of election, when we were voting, I caught her trying to collect money to vote for another person. So when she discovered that I caught her, she ran to me and called me, my brother, please, so I have 2 cards that I will use this one to collect money. I will now use the other one to go and vote elsewhere for you. So as nature has prepared it, when she left that point, I was also at the other polling unit just to know exactly what was happening there. I saw her again trying to collect money from another person to vote. So I pretended as if I didn't see her. So after the election, I went on holiday. She put a call across to me that, oh, I'm having a problem now. Please send me 5,000. I said, oh, I calculated the money you got on election day is actually 8,000 naira. That should take you for a while. So the mindset of an average Nigerian is not whether Nigeria will succeed. It's for survivor. I know it is
because there is a hunger problem.
Yes.
Let's quickly hear from Elder David calling from Alimotion. Good morning, Elder David. Thank you for calling. Please go ahead. Doesn't seem we have Elder David here. So,
Good morning, sir. Good morning, ma.
All right, good morning.
Right,
Please go ahead.
Thank you very much. We thank God. We have people who have laid foundation for every good thing. Like what the two have said. Those foundations have laid. If Nigeria are patient, between the ending of this year, we shall be grateful to God. Every other thing is talking about whether something is costly or not. Yes, inherit all this problem. It doesn't start today. And it started right from 1999. This is built up to this stage now. And it's not a product of godfatherism. That is the first time since 1999. We don't have godfatherism in government. It's a leader who comes to lead. And it's a champion. It cannot be compared with the past leader from 1999 to 2015. We thank God that we have a leader. It's a question of patience. Like what my pastor is talking about, are they not the cost of this person are calling this dollars to import raw material and selling at a higher price? When somebody now are selling for 1,000 something, and they say nobody buy, they buy it is hook up in their store. It's going to men like that because they are not sympathetic. Then when we talk of labor, why is labor demanding for so high distance? Like what you have said, it's not the issue of the amount they carry home. It's a question of reducing the price of the items. A country is rich if the citizens have food to eat. And we should quite remember, there are many problems this man meets on ground. As me and you are talking now, people are being killed somewhere in the north and others, which is even more risky than ordinary somebody who has no food to eat. We should sympathize with those people who are there too. And you see what the ministry are doing now, which have not happened before. The mental service market and service forest. They are doing, and it is money. It is because this government have laid down a policy that is going to wipe out all this thing. Just give this man just only 2 years. But within 1 year now, in 1 year is better than that of PDP from 1999 to 2015. Look at the record. Whether kidnapping, whether you are talking of corruption and all that, it is then when they closed down 34 parastatals, 2004, that could have provided jobs for millions of Nigerian youth. They now classify as whether I call them Yahoo boys and other. And what of those who are pensioners? Before that time, they are not paying them their pension. It was this government that started. God will bless you, Dotu. God will bless every Nigerian. Nigeria will continue to remain as one. And it's better for us. It's question of patience. Let us advise ourselves and pray for this government. It's a man God of our day. We rule to 2031. So it shall be in Jesus' name. Thank you.
David.
Thank you.
On the issue of security, in all fairness, the government has shown consistency in the fight against terror. We only need to understand that a franchise of insecurity has been bought by local criminals. So now when you hear of a kidnap of an Oba in one community, don't think it's Fulani headers that are doing that. Local criminals also have taken advantage of that. So in terms of security, fantastic. It has also shown seriousness in the fight against corruption, that maybe the government can do things differently. But most importantly, one aspect of life that connects everyone together is that of food and living, high cost of living, which I think all policies must be directed at that. If you check the percentage of the people who fly, it's nothing compared to the fact of people who struggle to just eat their 3 square meals. Is it 3 or 2 now?
Right now it's like
in
1.
between.
It's
like
so 0.01.
So let's just give them an opportunity to have that. And once they have that, I think we can build from there.
As quickly as possible, because we're running out of time, let's look at what's happening in Edo State. Still on the Vanguard newspaper, on the front page of the Vanguard newspaper, I saw a headline at the top left, I believe, Edo gubernatorial election. Labour moves to reconcile Akpata and Imaso Agbon. We saw the drama in the Labour Party. Imaso Agbon, of course, took Olumide Akpata to court, with him stating that Olumide should not be determined as the valid card-carrying member or the valid gubernatorial candidate of the Labour Party. On the other hand, I remember seeing an interview some while back, a headline that said Kenneth Imaso Agbon had said that it's time for the Edo State people to reward him for his 20 years of service to the state. That's an aside. But how well do you see these quote-unquote moves to reconcile Akpata and Imaso Agbon? How do you see it playing out?
The truth is that one of the greatest jobs I've ever done is to have managed a political party. It's the technicality involved in it and the politicking, as it were, is high level. Now, when you see a party like Labour Party and the popularity you see in the 2023 election, there's all possibilities that there are hands from outside of the party that want to destabilize it so that they do not continue to generate that wave that they generated in 2023. But these are the questions. The way some of these political parties are managed, they are managed in a way that shows that the highest bidder eventually gets the ticket, most of them. For instance, how did you get to a point where you can't do a credible primary? It's the exact same thing that happened in APC in Ondo State. As it is now, Jimoh Ibrahim has taken the sitting governor to court. So it's always an internal problem of the party. And because court after court has said, even to the Supreme Court, that internal party affairs is within the party. Usually that they are not concerned about it. So the rascality, most of the time, that is displayed by party leadership always denies them an opportunity to come to election with one vote, which is what we have seen in Labour Party. Labour Party, with the credibility their 2023 presidential candidate, give to the party, shouldn't be having a thing like this. But the attitude of Nigeria, I'm coming back to this because it's very important. The attitude of Nigeria is the same. Whether you are in PDP, you are in APC, or you are in Labour Party, which is what they are. I do not see anything coming out of here in the reconciliation. I do not see anything coming out of it, because usually there are two things that are known with Nigerian politicians: pride and optimism. If you see a politician who cannot even win 2 votes, he will tell you he will win the election. And that's why you hardly see all those what we call small political parties come together to have somebody as their candidate to actually race it out with those big political parties. Why? Because this one thinks he can win, this one thinks he can win, this one thinks he can win. Upon all I did when I was running for office, I had just about 1,000 votes. Getting votes in Nigeria in the election process that is so monetized is actually a lot of work. So the conversation will happen, but I still see that the court case will be pressed further.
All right. Well, time here is well spent. Thank you so much, Dr. John, for joining us. It's always nice to have you on a Monday morning, especially starting off not on a happy weekend note, but on a happy weekday.
We can't wait to have you on a Friday.
Happy weekend. Yeah. Anyway, we'll go for a quick break, and when we come back, we'll go into that big conversation. ASUU strike again, despite having President Bola Ahmed Tinubu at the helms of affairs. One would wonder, ordinarily, should we continue this way again? Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Welcome back. The Federal Ministry of Education has released the list of its new governing council for 111 tertiary institutions in the country, comprising 5 names each for 50 universities, 37 polytechnics, and 24 colleges of education. This follows a 2-week ultimatum given the Nigerian government by the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASUU, to address its key concerns, including what it described as the illegal dissolution of governing councils of the universities, continued payment of its members' salaries using the integrated payroll and personnel information system, among other issues.
Well, in response to the new list of governing councils, ASU President Emmanuel Oshodeke has said the federal government was expected to reinstate the illegally dissolved governing councils and not to constitute new ones. Oshodeke also stated that the demand from the union was not only about the dissolved governing councils of tertiary institutions, adding that the federal government should implement other requests of ASU. Well, joining us this morning is the President of Academic Staff Union of Universities, Professor Emmanuel Oshodeke joins us this morning. Thank you so much for being here this morning. And it's good to start this conversation, especially looking at the reason why ASU is agitated and not happy. There should have been a reinstatement rather than an overhaul and bringing in of new persons. Can you go ahead and expatiate more on this?
Thank you very much. Good morning. Well, our own stand is that the governing council is made up of two components. The federal government nominee, which normally are 5, a representative of the Minister of Education, make it 6, 4 persons elected, I mean the word elected for a 4-year term by the University Governing Council, University Senate, 1 person elected from the congregation of the university, 2 persons from congregation of the university, 1 person from convocation of the university, the vice chancellor, the 2 or 3 deputy vice chancellors make up the composition of the governing council. Therefore, all the councils are nominated and appointed by law, and that law stipulates 4 years. And if you want to remove the vice chancellor, the council, they must have committed an infraction or corruption. On that basis, you can remove them, not just by political means. So therefore, during the era of Buhari, President Muhammad Buhari, and they did the same thing, we raised this issue with them. And they looked at it and found we were correct. But you cannot just dissolve a governing council anyhow because of political reason. And that council was reinstated. Then when this government also came in and did exactly the same thing that their predecessor did from the same party. And we also raised this issue instead of doing exactly because if those councils were found to have committed corruption, it should have been tried, not just dissolved. But they just dissolved them politically. So that is why we are saying that, look, let's, as a country, a democratic country, we should obey the laws of the country. And that law states very clearly how council should be appointed and council should be dissolved. But when you do it the other way around, the law permits that you should just do what is correct by reinstating them. They have just about 1 year to go. When they finish, you appoint your own people if that's what they are doing, as a member of the governing council. That's what the law says, and you can look at it, the Miscellaneous Act.
So do you think that this will be corrected? The move that has been made so far, do you expect that the government will correct this by reinstating them? And if that isn't done, what next?
Well, we do hope that they can do that. But if they don't, we'll have the union. The union will meet, all the organs will meet, and look at whether we should accept or what we should do. That is the procedure. But we are giving them timeline to do what is correct.
Now, we know that the dissolution of the governing council is not the only issue and the only agitation that the Academic Staff Union of Universities has against the federal government. We'd like you to share with us. We know that the IPPIS was in conversation. The non-payment of salaries for the duration of the strike was also in conversation. So I want you to further expatiate on some of the concerns that ASU has.
Well, so the issues we had that we were going on strike in 2022. Number one, a renegotiation of the agreement that was signed in 2009. In that agreement, it was indicated that every 3 years it will be renegotiated based on the current situations. Now, 2009 and today is 15 years, and it has not been renegotiated, which means the salary negotiated by our member in 2009 is what they are seeing any today. But when you look at the economic situation from 2009 and today, you know the marked difference, and that is the major thing. With the last administration, when they came in, we also raised this issue with them. And they set up a panel to negotiate with them in 2017. They agreed there was an issue that would be negotiated in 2017, led by Babalaki. It failed. Then another one, led by Musa Jibi, came in. We reached an agreement. Government didn't come back to us to sign. Then finally, we reached with an agreement with Musa Jibri, a led committee. Until today, that had not been signed. So that's how many years now? 2017 and today. It's a whole 7 years that we have been negotiating, and there is no signed agreement. And we thought that this government, when they came in, that's why we gave them this 11 months to sit down and see how they can set up a group, meet with us, look at that agreement. And if there are issues we need to adjust, we adjust, and then they sign, and then we move on, so that we can keep our lecturers in Nigeria. Today, they are living in droves. They are living in droves while we are busy establishing universities all over the place. I don't know who is lecturing in them, but go and check. You can see the quality of lecturers lecturing in those universities. So that is number one. Number two is the issue of this governing council, and that also number two. Number three, issue of earned academic allowance for our members. In 2020, we agreed with the government that they will mainstream the earned academic allowance into our salary. In 2022, that money was released, but since then and now they have not paid that. And it was in last year's budget. The issue of revitalization of revitalization fund, which was also in last budget, which they also refused to implement. And you are not talking the issue that now arose from that action, which is IPPIS. You are aware the federal government, the Federal Executive Council, directed that the universities and all TETE should be withdrawn from IPPIS. That directive has still not been implemented till today. What they have done is that they have changed the name from IPPIS to new IPPIS, which.
Professor, you there? All right. Well, I think the professor is indeed going ahead to highlight some of these challenges, and all of it's quite sad that some of these things, or I'll put it that way, some of these objectives were indeed dealt with, especially before President Muhammadu Buhari left office. Some of them were looked into, and like he said, with the new President Bola Ahmed Tinubu on seat, it was expected that after 11 months have gone by, he's going to take time to review this and ensure that there was an implementation. But Professor, if you're there, you can go ahead with some of the other agitations from ASU as well.
Are you hearing me now?
Yes, we can.
Please.
Absolutely.
Good. So we said the IPPIS, we were withdrawn from it with effect from December 2023. But today, that has not also been implemented. We are still being paid with what now refers to as new IPPIS. I don't know the new origin of that. And in doing that, they are dealing with our members. The 4 months backlog that was paid, the cooperative deduction amounting to almost billions of naira for all our branches has still not been released by the Office of the Accountant General. Till now, all the deductions that people, that's why most of members depend on in time of crisis. They go to the cooperative, take loan to take care of their heads or whatever. That money still have not been released for the 4 months by the Office of the Accountant General. We will have people who have been promoted, their arrears have not been paid till now, over 4 or 5 years since people were introduced. You have people salary were cut. Last year, a colleague in Jos, was paid 5,000 naira. A professor paid 5,000 naira. How they arrive at that, we don't know. And there's no way you can resolve them. But today, that IPPIS has not been, they have not exited us from that IPPIS. These are some of these issues that have been outstanding that we want this government to resolve within this short period, and then we can move on as a country without. When the president came and said we want a state, a university where there will not be shut down, no strike, nothing, which we agree fully because we are the one who suffer when there is strike. But they are not doing anything. The 3.5 months outstanding, they still have not paid, and we believe that still will have done the work.
Professor Shuleke, I mean, it's quite sad and unfortunate that you're coming back to this same scenario all over again. It seems like it's a rigmarole. We're just going back in circles, year in, year out, still complaining of the same thing, but yet no resolve. How does this make ASU feel, and how does this make you feel, knowing that the salaries of the judiciary have been reviewed, and then there's been a kick into the system with the student loan, and yet the professors have not been taken care of? I'd like your view on that. And then also I'd like your view separately on the students' loan. Do you think it's something that will work, looking at the current situation in which you're faced with?
Well, the truth is that the reason they are treating Nigerian universities and indeed Nigerian education this way is because you now have 2 sets of Nigeria. Those who are running our economy, running the everywhere, but whose family, their children are schooling abroad, not in Nigeria. If there is no minister here, you say that child is in Nigeria. No governor is child in Nigeria. The president children are not in Nigeria, and so forth and so on. So for them, whether Nigerian university collapse or not, it's not their business. As far as their children are having good education. If their children were in Nigerian university, they will not treat Nigerian university this way. So that's the problem we're having. And that's what we proposed some time ago, that there is a need to make a law, National Assembly, to make a law that for you to hold a government office, you must bring all your children back to Nigerian schools, from primary, secondary, and universities. You must bring them back. Because that's the problem we're having. You get our resources, you send to the foreign country, and then you destroy your universities. As we speak, our colleagues are living in droves, and they are not bothered, because whether it concerns them, what it concerns them. When they are sick, they run abroad. The doctors are living, it's not their business. They pay you whatever you like, leave. I saw a minister saying, well, after whether they leave or not, we bring more doctors. A seasoned doctor will leave the country. You bring an internship to come and replace him. That our problem is because they are not part of this system. It does not affect them. If it affects them, they will ensure that the system works. So we should ensure that there is a law, and Nigeria should push that for you to hold a government office, your children must be in Nigerian universities, Nigerian primary school, Nigerian secondary school. That's our problem. Because I don't see why you allow a professor in Nigeria to earn less than $300 a month, equivalent. Meanwhile, it's equivalent. The same man can go to UK, can go to South Africa, and what have you, and earn $5,000, $10,000 a day, a month. So that's our problem. And you see a lecturer who is at the lower level, who had to fight for his master's degree, fight for promotion, his salary is less than $80 a month. How will they survive? So that is where we are. You could have negotiated for 7 months without reaching an agreement. I feel you now blame the union for going on strike. If you cannot reach again 7 months, what should the union do? They should allow me to die or allow the university to die. So what we are struggling for is for the heart, the soul of this country. And that's what this group do not want, because they can afford to do anything outside the country. That's on the student loan. Our view is very clear. If we have done it 2 or 3 times in the past, when there was still some degree of decorum in the system and it didn't work, is it now that it's going to work? What we see happen is that the money will still go to the children of the rich and the big men. You can watch. As a union, we look at background before we take decision. 3 times how they have to do a student loan, none worked. And when we see the miracle of this one, and you can imagine, when did they say it will start? More than a year, almost 7-8 months now. Has it started? What happened to the law that we talked about was so incorrect? What did they do? After about 5-6 months, they found we were correct. They had to go and rejig the law. Why did you listen to us at the beginning? That is the question. So what were the academics who should be the soul of this country are speaking? They don't listen until they run into a problem and run back. We said that something was wrong. There are issues, and things you are still not corrected. Changing the law, you didn't consult with the stakeholders. It took 2 days and you changed the law. And you have brought it back. You can see how it's going to work.
All right.
What is going to change?
What we're just going to have to do now is wait to see what exactly happens, if the former members of the Governing Council will be reinstated, and what the next move will be for ASU in that regard, if it's not yet done. But we thank you very much for joining us, and we look forward to having you again.
Thank you.
This makes or wraps up our show today, and we thank you very much for joining us. We'll be back again same time tomorrow. Remember, we'll continue the conversation on social media at News Central TV. I'm Olive MOD.
And I'm Joe Hansen. We look forward to see you again tomorrow, bright and early, on the brightest breakfast show on television. Have a great day.
Au revoir.